What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Lucky Lefty Podcast. We are brought to you by ONORA Whiskey, ONORAWhiskey.com. It is that premium American whiskey, ONORAWhiskey.com. And if you're going to drink, by all means, make sure you do it responsibly.
It's only up from here. Let's get busy.
Lucky Lefty Podcast. Happy Friday to everybody out there, man. ONORA boys in the building. Shaun Davis, SD, 2 mics, MALIK ZAIRE, MALIK ZAIRE 8. It's a lot to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. A lot to talk about. Don't forget, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, CFB Nation, Patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network, at Lucky Lefty Pod, X, Instagram, YouTube. Subscribe, share. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. It's the like button. We respond to all comments and questions. Man, it's the Lucky Lefty Podcast. We're committed to being the home of the misguided passion, and we will forever do what? Spin it different. Yeah. Left will be along shortly. And we wanted to get started. We saw that IB started a little bit later. We didn't want to bump heads with Brian. And so we were waiting for them to finish up. And Left is finishing thing. I think he's cooking dinner for the little ones, really, honestly. And he'll be along shortly. But I wanted to start the show because you guys have been waiting. Originally, we were supposed to start at the top of the hour. And now it's getting to about 6:30. And so we decided to go ahead and start. He'll jump in. We're going to talk about the practice yesterday, give a little practice report, the travels, the rain, everything. It kind of hampered me being able to do an immediate reaction, instant reaction like I wanted to. Then we're going to have a special segment, ladies and gentlemen. I've been digging in on this Texas A&M matchup for the past week, and not only reading, but digging in on the Notre Dame side and then digging in on the Texas A&M side, reading a lot, listening to a lot of their content, podcasts. We have, in my opinion, and I want to get you guys' thoughts along with Malik's thoughts, whether or not you feel like there are some disrespectful things coming from the direction of Texas A&M content. Now, I will preface it by saying they were honest up front, saying, look, we really haven't paid any attention to Notre Dame. Haven't watched anything, just really going by what we hear. So, but when I play these clips, I want you guys to tell me whether or not you think there's a sense of disrespect coming from the SEC, Texas A&M fan base, content creators, and beat reporters. Look forward to getting used to that as well, hearing from that as well. And then we'll hear from the Notre Dame wide receivers and wide receiver coach Mike Brown. His thoughts. I know, right? All you want to hear from Mike Brown right now is what's up with this 25 recruiting and 26 recruiting, right? When Mike Brown, he met with the media, he spoke to the media. He has some very good things to say about his wide receiver room, the diversity in the room, which did not exist last year, which is something we've pointed out. But we also hear from the wide receivers, and there's one wide receiver in particular that I wish would have gone down a totally different rabbit hole than he did. A totally different rabbit hole than he did. Unfortunately, Left is going to hear what he had to say. And I'm pretty sure Left is going to go ahead and continue on his rant about what needs to be proven in the passing game. So we'll get to that shortly as well. Lock in with us at Lucky Lefty Pod and Lucky Lefty Podcast on YouTube. Subscribe, share, hit that like button. Let's see, ladies and gentlemen, let's start with what we saw, right? And the big news about the practice that took place on Thursday, of course, was the offensive line, right? The loss of Charles Jagusah. We knew that there was an open competition coming at left tackle. Originally, the first practices after the injury, we, the media, did see Tosh Baker get the opportunity to be the left tackle. Notre Dame decided to leave Emil Wagner, who had won the position early in camp, from Tosh Baker over at right tackle after they both had been moved to right tackle after losing the battle during bowl prep for the left tackle position to Charles Jagasaw. He gets injured with the pectoral, out for the season. Now it's in limbo. Veteran leadership or veteran player Tosh Baker, who's played the position in game and also has competed for the position, he comes in. Well, there's a shakeup as we saw Anthony Knapp and Sam Pendleton at left tackle and left guard with the first group. Now, immediately, everyone was up in arms. I even saw some people that are content creators for Notre Dame football talking about, man, you know, this kind of proves that Harry's recruiting, his second stint at Notre Dame, wasn't as good. So we're going to open it up. I want to get your thoughts on that. What was your initial reaction? LL question of the day. What was your initial reaction when you saw the report that Sam Pendleton and Anthony Knapp were with the first group? What was your initial reaction? Get to your GTB questions as well. If you have a GTB question, hit us up. And then if you have a super chat, we'll get to it immediately. We appreciate that as well. So what was your first thoughts? Well, I'll tell you my first thought. I was elated. I was elated because for a long time, for a very long time, Notre Dame has been slow to elevate talent, especially young talent, above seniority or people that have been in the program. That's whether it be the former head coach or even under Marcus Freeman, has been that feeling and that vibe, specifically on the offensive side of the ball. Now, if you move to the defensive side of the ball, you will have Al Washington has shown a propensity to play younger players. Not as much as Mike Mickens, but Mike Mickens is really the standout defensively. And also on the offensive side of the ball, Dylan McCullough is a standout. Both of those coaches have shown the willingness and the confidence in their young players to get them in the game, get them reps, and put them in high pressure situations. Heck, we can go back to that Ohio State game on the road. It was due to injury, of course, but Jay Mickey comes into the game, tough spot. They blitz, they identify him. That double safety blitz was absolutely the wrong call, in my opinion. I think a lot of Notre Dame fans will lament that and will kind of lay that at the feet of Al Golden in his first game as defensive coordinator for Notre Dame, after calling a great game, by the way. What they did to that Ohio State offense in that matchup, holding C.J. Stroud and that team to 7 points until the end of the third quarter. Phenomenal job. One bad call, putting the young freshman in that type of position, he gets burned. Next thing you know, of course, with the offense spiraling, couldn't get anything done multiple times inside Ohio State territory and just couldn't put points on the board. They go away with the loss after a fantastic performance. They follow that up with another fantastic performance defensively against Ohio State at home last year. And once again, the offense just couldn't do enough. Just couldn't do enough to get things done. So when I first heard the news, I was excited. When I heard the news, we actually heard some things before we got to practice or before the practice. Get to the practice, you see that, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, I like this. I really like this. And what it means is, number one, the evaluation of Harry Heastand. And once again, Harry Heastand lost his left tackle, Elijah Page, who was a late transfer, late decommitment, not transfer, but late decommitment from the class, who's the starting left tackle for USC right now. And he is behemoth, man, 6'7", 335. And it's safe to say that he possibly would have been the starting left tackle with Jagasaw being at the left guard. Those two behemoths would have been incredible. But I go on to say the class that he's put together, that Heastand did put together, I think his evaluation was absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, the news of Anthony Knapp in two ways. Playing with that first group, getting reps, doesn't mean that he's a starting left tackle. He's getting reps. He's getting opportunity to see what he looks like, along with Sam Pendleton with that first group. The right side, Craig, Strouf, and Wagner, solid. I know people out there like, yo, 2 tackles under 300 pounds going down. You're going to have 2 first-time regular season starters, regardless. If Jagasaw was healthy, you probably would have a little bit more confidence. He's a little bit bigger. You feel a little bit better about that. Emil Wagner at the right tackle. I understand. There's nothing I can say to that. I'm not even going to refute that. I'm not going to rebut. It is what it is. You work with what you have. I keep telling people, man, look, Notre Dame has talent in the offensive line. And I would much rather have talent, whether it be young, inexperienced. I would much rather have talent and recognize that talent, get that talent on the field, and get it ready to go. I remind people, Blake Fisher, talent, won the battle as a true freshman, gets injured. Joe Alt, third string, talent, comes in. Tosh Baker got the first opportunity, didn't do well. Here comes the true freshman, talent wins out. Yes, first half was a little rough for him. Came out in the second half, he was much better. Came back the next week, he was even better. After the third week, all of us that cover the game, we're looking like, yeah, this kid has a chance. I think Blake Fisher is going to be a right tackle moving forward. And so now we're in a position that if Anthony Knapp can show improve, yeah, if he comes out, has a tough first quarter, tough first half, look, that right side is solid. The right side is solid. If he comes out and he has a tough first half, you can always go to Tosh Baker. If Tosh Baker comes out, Anthony Knapp is showing that he's ready. He's showing that he's ready. And that is great. That is a great sign for Notre Dame football. So what are we really talking about? This is my encouragement when everyone was a little bit distressed or stressed about the offensive line going into the season. Ladies and gentlemen, there's talent there. What are you distressed about? They might not be as dominant as the former offensive lines when you're talking about Zach Martin, when you're talking about his crew, Ronnie Stanley, his crew, Mike McGlinchey, that crew. Look, Notre Dame might be above average to good to start the season off. They're not going to be great. I'll say it right here. I would love for them to just walk out the tunnel at College Station, dominate, and be great from the jump. Do I think that's going to happen? No. Would I feel more comfortable saying they would be good to great with Charles Jagasaw as the starting left tackle? I would. With Sullivan Apster, Sam Pendleton, Pat Coogan, Rocco Spindler getting the opportunity at left guard and battling it out. But I agree with something that Brian Driscoll said to me in conversation. I think he said it on his show earlier today. Whoever gets the job will have earned it. And that's something that I think a lot of fans will go back and say, I'm not too sure that we felt guys won jobs at certain positions. It was almost like they were given the job and it was theirs to lose. And as long as they played to a certain point, they didn't lose it. Now, Notre Dame, because of depth and the depth they have, and I said before, the haul they have coming in, they have top tier depth being added to that offensive room in the 25 class. Top tier. So they're going to get better. Remember this same situation where they had youngsters. They went to the portal. They got a guy from Marshall, and we all know how that transfer worked out for them at the right guard situation. We know how that worked out. Notre Dame has stuck to their guns, believed in their evaluation, believed in their development as O-line U, and it might be the saving grace. It might be the saving grace with the departure of the 2 tackles that went to the NFL draft and with the injury to Charles Jagasaw. That great recruiting might be the saving grace. Tosh Baker can bump over the left tackle. Wait a minute. How can you? Tosh Baker is battling Emil Wagner for that right tackle position in fall camp. Why can you speak? What makes it comfortable for you as a staff to bump him over to left tackle? Well, because we have a stud by the name of Gerby Lambert that can come in and be that backup right tackle. And we feel comfortable in that. After 1 week of practice, we feel like, yo, you know what? We could let Tosh stay here and battle it out. Allow Gerby to go over to left tackle with Anthony Knapp and battle it out. Nah. We feel real comfortable with this youngster coming in and being our backup right tackle. We trust our evaluation. We trust our development. Let's rock with him at right tackle. Let's go ahead and make Tosh Baker, which NFL, college, you always want your swing man or your 2 to 3 swing men on your offensive line to be your veterans. It's very rare that your swing man on the offensive line that can play multiple positions. It's very rare that that guy is a youngster, inexperienced. Someone in that position, you want them to have gamesmanship or have played games, and you want them to be able to be multiple in what they can do. That plays into this as well. So do you go with Anthony Knapp at left tackle? Make Tosh Baker your swing man, who can go to right tackle, who can play left tackle, might be able to do some other things. Do you get a Sam Pendleton in there? Have Rocco. He can play center. He can play both guard positions. Pat Coogan. Try him out. Right guard, left guard. The veteran guys can be swing guys to play multiple positions because more than likely you're going to have an injury. You're going to have an injury on the offensive line at some point. So I'm trying to think with Joe Rudolph. That's another point. This right here, Joe Rudolph, Anthony Knapp, he is directly tied to Anthony Knapp. Everybody else was a Harry Hiestand evaluation. Harry Hiestand contact. Harry Hiestand got the ball rolling. Joe Rudolph finished the deal. I'll give Joe Rudolph great credit in having to rebuild what Harry started with Gerby Lambert and sealing the deal with Gerby Lambert. But Anthony Knapp is all Joe Rudolph. The guy, when he came in, that wasn't on the board for Notre Dame, that he said, this is the guy I want. This kid who's a 3-star currently. He's a 3-star. He's worth it. Let's go get him. He's worth it. That was his evaluation. And that's what Joe Rudolph did. So Anthony Knapp getting the opportunity, could it be tied to the fact that he's a Joe Rudolph guy? Some people out there might think that. Some people out there might believe that. Okay, I hear you. It's possible. But it's also possible that the kid is exactly who Joe Rudolph felt like he was when he added him to the board after evaluating him prior to his arrival at Notre Dame when he was at Wisconsin. It's possible that that is exactly what happened. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I always love to see talent rising to the top. Love it. I always like to see a program that is willing to elevate young talent and to trust in its development of said talent. And there's no reason with the resume that Notre Dame has on the offensive line not to flow into that and not to operate into that. No reason. Now, this is one of those seasons. We said this. This is why you go get Riley Leonard, right? You go get the veteran quarterback and you go get all the skill position players because you know this is going to be a transition year with your offensive line. You knew that without the injuries. Ladies and gentlemen, we knew that. We knew that. We knew that. Offensive line was going to be a year transition. Your veterans are going to be interior. Can Ashton Craig back up what we saw late in the season? Right? Can Emil Wagner take that next step? We thought he was possibly going to be our left tackle. We get a great surprise with Charles Jagasaw dominating bowl preparation and being so solidified that they moved the other guys to the right side to fight it out. And now, after injury, they say, you know what? Tosh, don't even stay over here right tackle. We'll allow you to go battle it out at left tackle. You played there. You have the experience. We're comfortable with Gerby. Gerby's looking good. We're comfortable with him being the backup at right tackle. The spotlight is on Joe Rudolph for several reasons, not just because of Anthony Knapp. You're going to have to coach, bro. You don't have those bookends. You don't have those bookends to depend on each and every week. That first and second round talent at the tackle position. You don't have that. You know, where you can kick back preparation week, watching film of the opposing defensive line and say, yep, Joe has that. Yep, Blake has that. You don't have that comfort this year. I like coaches being a little uncomfortable. I don't know about you. I like coaches being a little bit uncomfortable. I do. It's almost like a player going into a contract year in any sport. It pushes them to give you their best. And that's what I'm hoping for from a coaching standpoint. That all of these obstacles, injuries, pushes Joe Rudolph to be the best and show and give the best of himself. Not that he doesn't. But it's like, come on, dig a little deeper. Dig a little deeper this year. Show us what you have, Coach Rudolph. Show us you can take these youngsters and have them ready to go on the road. Show you can mold this offensive line to go on the road in a big game and not start off slow and be consistent and protect the quarterback and give your skill position players opportunities to make big plays and your running backs the room, the necessary room they need to go and do what you know they have the talent to do. It's here. It's here. And that is what I feel about this team. That's what I feel about this team. That's what I feel about this opportunity. So what are your thoughts? John Massey says 6'4", 290. Pretty good size for a freshman. I agree with that, John Massey. That's pretty good. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it at all. So when we look at this offensive line, there's another thing you have to think about. At least it's not all over the place, right? You go into this game and you feel good about the right side. You heard the offensive linemen when they spoke, all of them. Marcus Freeman said it, Joe Rudolph said it, and the offensive line said it. The one thing they said, well, they said two things, but one thing that sticks out, that's a continuum throughout all of them, is that they're going to run the ball. They feel really confident that they're going to be able to run the ball. We know the defensive line they're facing. First game out, hostile environment, but they have full confidence that they're going to be able to run the ball. You go from what Marcus Freeman said, they also feel like they're going to make big plays, big chunk plays. I like that. In order to do that, though, it seems like that's going to be 5-step drop, deep passes and shots, play action, which means you have to be able to run the ball. Play action is a lot more effective when you can run the ball. I mean, that's football 101, right? But also mixing it up with the short passing game. I pointed out It's a very, even more now, a very athletic offensive line. Pointed out, I saw them executing the screen game at high efficiency in the practices that we were allowed to see. That's something I think, especially against a very aggressive defensive line like the Texas A&M Aggies, that screen game is going to come into play, whether it's the wide receivers or the running backs. I look for Notre Dame to be able to tap into that and possibly break some big plays. Break some big plays against Texas A&M. The linebacking core is very questionable. Very questionable, in my opinion. Something to look at. So the rest of the practice, offensive line, of course, stole the show. Jay Thomas, he looks healthy. I'm so happy to see JT. He spoke to the media. We're going to hear from JT later on in the show what he had to say towards the media. Some very interesting things. And then Kenny Minchey and CJ Carr. Ladies and gentlemen, I think Steve Angeli fought. And we tip our cap to Steve Angeli because he fought to stay at Notre Dame. I don't think they're going to hand the job to Steve Angeli in the offseason. And the talent might just be too much to overlook. Because I said before, the two youngsters in the quarterback room are the most talented people in the quarterback room, just physically gifted, throwing the football. We know Riley Leonard, his legs. But look, man, I don't know if Steve Angeli is going to be able to hold off just the physical gifts of Kenny Minchey and CJ Carr. And that continues to be on full display just when you watch them throw and warm up and drill, shell drills. Man, it's something else. It really is. Bronte Johnson, Leonard Moore, two youngsters in the secondary. Leonard Moore, in my opinion, earlier. Bronte Johnson is going to have to really force himself on the field. Leonard Moore is already, Leonard Moore and his initial impact, I'm not going to compare it to Ben Morrison, and we'll talk about, I think tomorrow or Monday, we'll play some audio from video from Ben Morrison and the high regard he holds Leonard Moore in already. Man, just some fantastic words from Ben Morrison on who he thinks Leonard Moore can be. And then Jaden Thomas also gave him his flowers as well as he plays the boundary position for Notre Dame. But Bronte Johnson and Leonard Moore are two freshmen that you can see getting playing time. Bronte Johnson is going to be a little bit more difficult because you have Rod Hurd, you have Adon Schuler. Both of those guys are having fantastic camps. And, of course, you have Xavier Watts at the other safety position. Luke Talich has had a fantastic spring and fall camp after being healthy. Good to see him healthy. So it's just a lot more numbers at the safety position for him to fight through. Marty Biaggi is working with him, working with the other young safeties, doing a fantastic job. The work he's done with Adon Schuler, along with Coach Mike Mickens, fantastic. You love to hear it. And watching them make plays, once again, it goes to us saying, forget the numbers, forget the rankings, and the bias that exists there anyway. Notre Dame is properly evaluating and stockpiling talent. They are deeper, they are more talented than they've ever been under Marcus Freeman. They are deeper and more talented than they have ever been under Marcus Freeman. And I want to remind you, this is what Marcus Freeman said when he first took over about, hey, I'm going to get this program to where it's not the ones and twos where we have the 1A and the 1B. Remember this. This is Marcus Freeman and what he had to say.
Yeah, I look at the DB position, right? The safety position. That's a deep group, right? You talk about Houston and DJ and Brandon Joseph and Ramon and Xavier. That group will have a 1A and 1B for sure. And it's something going into the spring you probably didn't know. The D-line is extremely deep, and that's with Jason not practicing, but with Foskey and Justin and Howard Cross has had an unbelievable spring. I mean, an unbelievable spring. And he's done a great job, and Lacey, and I can go on and on. But I think the depth of our middle, right, up the middle, we're really, really deep, especially defensively, from the D-line to the linebackers to the safeties. Right up the middle, we're deep. We have to continue to develop some young guys. With Cam's out at corner, so we got to develop some young guys at corner. The O-line, I wouldn't say we're 1As and 1Bs yet, but I'm really, really pleased with some of those 1As. And so, again, the running back position would never be. I think up the middle, we're really, really strong, and we have to continue to develop on the edges.
Yo, that's Marcus Freeman. First camp, talking about what he needs to get to, right? And he was really installing his system. And I think the confidence that he walks around the practice field now with is amazing to watch. It really is. It really is. I think he feels very confident. He has a top 5 coaching staff in the nation, in my opinion. I think he believes this is why you start to see all these young players getting opportunities now, because from a full staff, they believe in what they've set up. He went out and purposely got Lauren Lando to establish what he wanted to see from a nutrition, strength, and conditioning standpoint. Now, we'll see how that plays out in the long run. But this is someone in the head coach that knew exactly what he wanted, was willing to go get it. It took him a little more time to get the offensive guy that he really wanted to transition Notre Dame. He immediately, first year, middle of the season, conversation with the quarterbacks in the room, let them know, hey guys, I'm going to get a quarterback. This is not high level championship football in this quarterback room. He recognized it and immediately started to change it. He immediately started to change. Nah, you're going to win. You need 1As and 1Bs. You don't need 1s and 2s. You can't have a drop off like that. He acknowledged that. He knew what was in his locker room, but he never changed the mission or the expectations while doing that. And now Notre Dame has one of its most talented teams with 11 draftable players. 11 players on this roster, according to scouts, have the possibility of being drafted into the NFL draft. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, ladies and gentlemen. Lucky Lefty podcast. So if Left comes along, he does. If not, we're going to knock this out for you guys tonight. And like I said, we'll get back to you with more defense, Max Bullock and Mike Mickens and the defensive backs either tomorrow or on Monday. So that's your practice report. Once again, Apple Podcast, Spotify, CFB Nation, patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit that like button. Leave your comments and questions. We respond to all. And then X and Instagram, Lucky Lefty Pod. Follow us, hit us up, follow us on our IG stories, posting news. We're also going to talk about the Docu-series. I want to know what you guys think about the teaser for the Docu-series coming out that we kind of, we take pride here on the Lucky Lefty podcast that we kind of spoke that into existence. We kind of spoke that into existence right here on the Lucky Lefty podcast. All right. Let's go to Texas A&M disrespect. Texas A&M disrespect. This is where it gets very, very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. So as I was digging in on this game and listening to some of the best content that covers Texas A&M football, I found the Tex Ags radio show. Tex Ags radio show. Their host is David Nuno. And I absolutely love their setup, by the way. Fantastic setup. And I love what they do. Fantastic setup. And on this particular day, he had a Houston Chronicle reporter, beat reporter for the Houston Texans, and also beat reporter for the Texas A&M Aggies, Olin Buchanan. I've actually had Mr. Buchanan on here in Chicago as a guest to preview a Houston Texans Chicago Bears game. very knowledgeable. He votes for the Heisman. Very well respected. So he came on Texas Radio to preview the Texas A&M season, their fall camp, and to talk about Notre Dame. So I'm going to play 4 clips. Stay with me. The clips range from 30 seconds to about a minute and a half. I'm going to play 3 to 4 clips, and you guys let me know if you're hearing or sensing disrespect for Notre Dame. This first clip, they are talking about comments that Paul Feinbaum made on his radio show and on ESPN, where Paul Feinbaum said he really doesn't respect Notre Dame's schedule. He thinks Notre Dame's schedule is soft, and he doesn't see what the big deal is about the Texas A&M game. He doesn't really think Texas A&M is going to give Notre Dame that much of a game. He's like, Cal Field is, all right. It's Cal Field. It's an SEC stadium. Like, it's nothing special. And, Texas A&M, they're not that good. So why is everybody fretting over Notre Dame going down to Cal Field in this matchup? Well, this is what David Nuno and Olin Buchanan had to say about that. This is once again Texas Radio host David Nuno with the guest beat reporter for the Houston Texans and also the Texas A&M Aggies, Olin Buchanan, talking about the comments of Paul Feinbaum.
Feinbaum, one from Heather Dinich, okay?
Okay.
Heather does not talk about A&M in this statement, but Paul Feinbaum does. And basically, he believes that Notre Dame's going to have to work hard not to make the college football playoffs. And this is from his show yesterday. And he goes, I think the A&M game, ? I don't understand the hype for A&M. Listen, I've been to Cal Field. Okay, we all get it. It's a fantastic arena. Stadium. But I don't think the team is that great. So I like Notre Dame in that game. So 2 parts. He's basically saying that Notre Dame has an easy schedule minus the A&M game. And he doesn't think the A&M game is all that tough because he doesn't think A&M is all that good.
Okay.
So, without goggles, how right or wrong is he?
I think it's going to be at least a toss-up game. So,
there's a reason Vegas
he might say that he doesn't think A&M's that good, but what A&M went 7-5 last year. What do you think Notre Dame's record would have been playing A&M's schedule?
What do you think their schedule would have been on their 3rd, 4th quarterback?
Right.
I mean, their record, excuse me. Right? Like, so,
maybe it would have been 8-4.
Let's take it in parts, okay? Quarterback. You could put Riley and Connor in the same breath. I believe Connor is a better quarterback. I think most rankings have Connor as a better quarterback. But you could put them in the same breath. But is Connor Wigman not considered, when he plays, an elite quarterback?
Well, yeah, if you're paying attention.
Yeah.
And I like Jordan Rogers said the other day, if you're really paying attention, you see what this guy is.
Makes all the throws, mobile when he needs to be, doesn't turn the ball over a lot. That sounds like a winner to me.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me know how you feel about that. That's clip number 1. Let me give you some stats. Because they just made it seem like David Nuno was like, Connor Wegman is better than Riley Leonard. Like, that's right off the bat. Really? Are we sure about that? Every scout has Connor Wegman over Riley Leonard. First of all, he's off injured, so you can't trust him. He's injured more than Riley Leonard. Riley Leonard had the ankle. Freak injury at the end of the Duke game. Thank you, Howard Cross. Connor Wegman, 2022. 55% completion percentage. 55. 8 touchdowns, no interceptions. Average of 6.8 yards per completion. I'm not bringing you home to mom to introduce you. You're not that. Come on. All right. You're basic. Comes back in 2023, gets injured. Everybody's like, he looked pretty good before he got injured. 66% completion percentage, 979 yards in the 4 games, 8.2 average, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Now, see, here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. 2 of his games were against University of Louisiana Monroe and University of New Mexico. In both of those games, he threw for 26 of 29 for 337. Completion percentage of 86% against the University of Louisiana Monroe. University of New Mexico didn't play much because they won 52-10, blew them out, 18-23, 236. 78.3 completion percentage. He averaged 10 yards a pop in that game. Against University of Louisiana Monroe, he averaged 11.6 yards per pop. 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions in that one. And against New Mexico, 5 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. 5 touchdowns and only 238 yards. Let's go to the 2 Power 5 games. He played against Auburn, whose secondary was mid. 8 for 14, 70 yards, 57% completion percentage. Got injured. Ended up winning 27-10. So he started off early, 8 for 14, 70 yards, completion percentage. Average yard, 5 yards a pop. Miami, whose defense we watched get lit up by several ACC quarterbacks. Several ACC quarterbacks lit Miami's secondary up. Lit them up. Louisville had wide receivers with broken ribs that couldn't catch the ball with 2 hands, lighting the Miami secondary up. Just lighting them up. He goes 31-53. 326, 58% completion percentage, 6 yards a pop, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. As we bring Left in. So they so easily dismiss Riley Leonard. I'm going to play this clip for Left, ladies and gentlemen. Tex Ags Radio, Left. Let me just set it up for you. Tex Ags Radio. Host is David Nuno. Olin Buchanan. Big-time veteran, college football and NFL beat reporter. He has a Heisman vote. This is what they had to say when talking about Paul Feinbaum basically saying on ESPN, this Texas A&M game, this team is not going to be able to do anything with Notre Dame. Like, what's all the fuss about? I guess they were a little upset about it, Left, and this is what they had to say.
Feinbaum, one from Heather Dinich, okay?
Okay.
Heather does not talk about A&M in this statement, but Paul Feinbaum does. And basically, he believes that Notre Dame's going to have to work hard not to make the college football playoffs. And this is from his show yesterday. And he goes, I think the A&M game, question mark, I don't understand the hype for A&M. Listen, I've been to Kyle Field. Okay, we all get it. It's a fantastic arena. Stadium. But I don't think the team is that great. So I like Notre Dame in that game. So 2 parts. He's basically saying that Notre Dame has an easy schedule minus the A&M game, and he doesn't think the A&M game is all that tough because he doesn't think A&M is all that good.
Okay.
So without goggles, how right or wrong is he?
I think it's going to be at least a toss-up game. So
There's a reason Vegas
he might say that he doesn't think A&M's that good, but what A&M went 7-5 last year. What do you think Notre Dame's record would have been playing A&M's schedule?
What do you think their schedule would have been on their 3rd, 4th quarterback?
Right.
I mean, their record, excuse me. Right? Like, so
maybe it would have been 8-4.
Let's take it in parts, okay?
Oh,
Quarterback. You could put Riley and Connor in the same breath. I believe Connor is a better quarterback. I think most rankings have Connor as a better quarterback. But you can put him in the same breath. But is Connor Wigman not considered when he plays an elite quarterback?
Well, yeah, if you're paying attention.
Yeah.
And like Jordan Rogers said the other day, if you're really paying attention, you see what this guy is.
Makes all the throws, mobile when he needs to be, doesn't turn the ball over a lot. That sounds like a winner to me.
Yeah.
Left. First of all, man, when people just start throwing around words, one word people throw around too much is elite. Connor Wegman is not an elite quarterback. He hasn't done anything to deserve being called an elite quarterback.
Yeah, they throw it around so easy. They throw it around.
The same thing we say, hold your horses on Riley Leonard. If I'm gonna say hold your horses on Riley Leonard, you better hold your horses
on Connor Wegman. Yeah,
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't want to hear about who his OC was. I don't hear about that. 55% on the road against Miami with 2 interceptions when you got every quarterback in the ACC lighting that secondary up.
Lighten them up.
Lighten them up. You haven't done anything. Show me. Where's the proof? Against who? Against who? You haven't done it. Now, if you want to say it's a wash, they're even, fine. I don't have a problem with that. That's fair. But to come out and flat out say, oh, yeah, everybody knows Connor Wegman is better than Riley Leonard. Relax. 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 You're being a little disrespectful. Relax. And then to try to bring up Vegas. Look, I told you, Notre Dame started out 3-point favorites. Notre Dame's going to get back to being a 3-point favorite. Vegas did all summer. Vegas just reeling people in. Reeling people in. Now, Paul Feinbaum is being disrespectful because that's just what he does. That's just what he does, right? But I'm going to tell you, bro, I got the vibe that they were trying to make it seem like Texas A&M and Notre Dame were on the same level.
Yeah, like they couldn't, it's like a toss-up. Like, wait a minute.
Like, not just teams this year, like as programs. And I'm like, wait, relax.
Texas A&M started getting relevant. Johnny football years. They had some Jimbo Fisher hype due to the Jameis Winston championships that Jimbo was coming off of. After that, the biggest highlight they had was spending the most money in NIL and having the most turnover with that. So I don't know when their string of success started to accumulate to where they're starting comparing themselves. Now, okay, we haven't won the biggest of the games, okay, but as a program, we're further along in many aspects than our first year Texas A&M with a Mike Elko.
And Left, it was incredible. Oh, it gets worse, Left. Lucky Lefty podcast. That was just the first clip. This is an amazing. Go to Text Ags. It was like 2 hours of just David Nuno just trying to find a reason as why Texas A&M should be favored in this game. It was absolutely amazing. He also went on to talk about, now this right here, Left. I guess they feel like Notre Dame should be scared, bro. Like, Kyle Field is just like this special place that you should walk in and be shaking in your boots when you take the field and come through the tunnel.
A&M are very, very similar, all the way down to having
wide receiver rooms that we're not sure about.
The questions at wide receiver.
Quarterback coming off of an injury.
Both played for Mike Elko.
New system for both.
New system for both.
Right. So there are questions, but maybe I'm too dumb. And someone's gonna make that a quote. But you got a healthy quarterback, it changes the conversation. I'm sorry, it does.
It does
for every team.
Yeah, but I'll say this: I like the idea. I hope everybody is like Paul Feinbaum. I hope everybody is doubting or dismissing A&M in that game.
I don't think that team is great. Okay, well, if we're talking great. Right.
I don't think they're great either. I think they're great.
Right. But if you talk about teams that we think are great right now, the list is like 2 or 3 teams. Great?
Yeah, Notre Dame's not on the list.
No. Now, They're in the top 10. They're number 7
Yeah.
in the AP poll. I think that's high based on what I know about their offensive line now, right?
Right.
But if they voted on it before, I get it. But great is like 2 or 3 teams right now.
I always say, if you a great team, I've never seen a great team that didn't have a good to great offensive line.
Yep.
Well, I submit to you the Clemson teams that won because they always had an average offensive line. Name one. Carmen, the left tackle, might be the only offensive lineman that went to the league off those Clemson title teams. So their quarterbacks made them look a whole lot better on the O-line. I can tell you that. But I digress. First of all, let's just say Notre Dame isn't great, right? If we're not going to just loosely use words and titles on teams. Let's just say, for the sake of the argument, Notre Dame isn't great. What is Texas A&M at 20? If Notre Dame isn't great, what is Texas A&M at 20? Since, according to them, Left, Texas A&M and Notre Dame are the same teams. They're the exact same teams. The exact same teams.
And that's what I don't understand. It's like it's like they don't want to. They know they're not Notre Dame, but they don't want to say they're not in the neighborhood. That's why they're having a hard time defining it, because they're like, what's great but not Notre Dame? What's the closest thing to that but not that? And it's funny because it's like, okay, what is Texas A&M riding on? At least we ride on top 10 defense, couple first rounders, third-year program, some things you can feel good about. What is Texas A&M, a program that's going complete turnover from scratch and the ground up? With a couple players here and there, lost some of their best, most explosive players. From the storylines alone, it's going to be a little difficult.
Now, this is the thing. This is how I know they haven't dug in on this game at all. They're talking with emotions right now, trying to get a fan base hope. So Notre Dame's the same, right? But the quarterback advantage goes to Texas A&M when both quarterbacks are coming back from injury. But then you say a new quarterback, a healthy quarterback, changes everything for teams. So I guess it doesn't change that for Notre Dame. A new healthy quarterback doesn't change that for Notre Dame. That doesn't have to. So somehow you get the advantage. Oh, that's right, because Connor Wegman is so much better than Riley Leonard. It's easy to see. Everybody sees it. How about this? The wide receiver rooms. There's question in both wide receiver rooms. Really? I know what our DBs are. I know we got a Nagurski winner at safety. I know we got another guy that transferred in from Arizona State, and Jordan Clark. That's pretty good. Rod Hurd, Adon Schuler at the other safety. Pretty good. Benjamin Morrison, pretty good. Jay Mickey, pretty good. Christian Gray, pretty good. Freshman Leonard Moore, already getting buzzed, being talked about, pretty good. What's up?
Is that number 15?
Yes.
Yes.
So you got questions at wide receiver, and you think you about to do something against that? Hold on. Wait a minute. I got the stats left. Let me pull up the stats. Second to last worst secondary in all of the SEC last year. That was supplemented by transfers and youngsters after multiple transfers out, and the transfers that came in didn't start where they were before coming to Texas A&M. But the secondary is supposed to be better. So let's just say the secondary is a little bit better than they were last year, Left. Let's just say that. They ain't Notre Dame secondary. So now you have questionable, because if you just want to say Notre Dame has questions at wide receiver, that's cool. I venture to say Notre Dame's going to have two of the best 3 wide receivers on the field that day. That's my opinion. I think Jaden Greathouse is going to be the best wide receiver on the field. That's my opinion. But I know Jaden Greathouse and the Notre Dame wide receivers are going up against a very average defensive backfield. Very average. That you're hoping and praying, please, defensive line, get to the quarterback. That's all you're hoping on. If Notre Dame's offensive line gives Riley Leonard any time, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. But I don't think, this is why I said the other day, there's going to be a problem for the Aggies offense and Connor Wegman, because even if he has time, I don't think there'll be separation. I just don't think there'll be too much separation, because they have questions at wide receiver going up against an elite defensive backfield. That's what's happening. And 2 running backs down. So now the running game is impacted with a questionable offensive line. But somehow, some way, these dudes are talking like, yo, they're talking like they buzzsaw offensively at Texas A&M. I don't know about you. You guys tell me how you feel. Tell me how you feel. I'm feeling hate. I'm feeling disrespect, hate, SEC bias, all of that. NCD or NC Notre Dame fan. GTB question. Shaun and Malik, what do you think the final score is going to be? I'm not doing a final score this early. I'm not. I said it in the show, on the show Wednesday. This has a Duke Notre Dame game from 2023 feel to me right now. Notre Dame will have an opportunity early, in my opinion, to put distance between them and Texas A&M. And if they do so, the game might end up being a little bit easier than most people think. That's the way I feel. If not, Texas A&M will stick around, and it'll go into the late third, fourth quarter to see who wins the game. But as far as the score, I don't have that right now. How do you think Coach Rudolph will get the O-line prepared for the crowd noise and to prevent false starts? I mean, dude, that Notre Dame faces crowd noise every road game. It's Notre Dame. And actually, in this very episode, they talked about that. And shout out to Olin Buchanan, who flat out told the host, Kyle Field's not about to be an advantage. And I salute him for that. He was like, dude, everywhere Notre Dame goes, everybody gets up for them. Everybody's loud. It's a sold-out crowd. If they're not prepared, they're not prepared. If they can't keep the defensive line off Riley Leonard, it won't be because of the crowd noise in the environment. Notre Dame is Notre Dame. This is their beat reporter saying this. He was like, Notre Dame faces the environment all the time. All the time. And he was like, dude, I love it. He was like, dude, anytime you go to a venue as a road team, you have problems with false starts. That's not something he was like, watch Georgia, watch Alabama on the road, watch every good program on the road. When they go on the road into hostile environments, you're going to see false starts. It comes with the territory. He says the teams that can recover and balance themselves off and go, that end up winning. Yeah, Notre Dame struggled with false starts early on the road in 2019 at Georgia. That's what happens. That's the advantage, happens early in most games. And good teams combat that. Notre Dame had the ball with 2 minutes left with a chance to win. So with all of that being said, false starts, all of that, Notre Dame had the ball, and everybody in that stadium was holding their breath. That's it. So I salute Mr. Buchanan for the way he answered that question when the host tried to roll that out as if Kyle Field is like about to intimidate Notre Dame in some way, form, or fashion. Mr. Buchanan was like, that's not going to happen. If we're dependent on Kyle Field to intimidate Notre Dame, and Notre Dame, he was like, dude, they played Alabama, they played Clemson on the road, they played Georgia on the road in the SEC. He was like, coming to Texas A&M is not about to, he was like, it's not about to make Notre Dame feel some type of way. They deal with that all the time. They deal with that all the time. Now, continuing the conversation about how much better Connor Wegman is than Riley Leonard. Oh, they kept going down the rabbit hole. They just kept going. They talked about this. It's like, yo, Mike Denbrock, I mean, how much of an impact is he really? He just left the LSU. I mean, he just left the SEC, LSU, 2 first-round wide receivers, 2,000-yard wide receivers, and a Heisman at quarterback. Historical offense in the SEC against all of those SEC athletic and big and bad defenses. And they have questions about what Mike Denbrock can do with Riley Leonard. Oh, yeah, they went down that rabbit hole too, ladies and gentlemen.
That I don't know. Mike Denbrook with Riley Leonard. I don't know how much better that.
It's not like Notre Dame had a poor quarterback last year.
No. But I guess if I expect better offense from Connor with a different system, you might be able to expect better offense from Notre Dame with one of the highest coveted offensive coordinators. And
my answer to that is, okay, that's fine. I get it. But the difference in this with the quarterback is Connor Wegman was stepping in for Max Johnson, who was a fine, serviceable backup. You know, I mean, he was a solid player. He wasn't incompetent or anything. But Leonard is taking over for Sam Hartman. I don't know
who's better
if they got better,
right?
But I know A&M is better with Connor Wegman.
Yeah.
See?
Oh my God! They said they don't know if Notre Dame got better at quarterback. Man, this is how I know. Y'all don't watch a lick of football north of the SEC. Not one lick. Not one lick. And don't tell me you evaluate the game. All you do is look at stats. That's why you feel the way you feel. You just look at stats. That's all. You didn't watch one single Notre Dame game. How in the world can you watch Sam Hartman against Clemson last year and Riley Leonard against Clemson last year? Sam Hartman had better talent than Riley Leonard. Watch them both play that defense. And Clemson was missing starters on defense. Riley Leonard played them the first game out the gate. And you tell me who the more talented quarterback is. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? What are we talking about here? What are we talking about? You don't know if Notre Dame, we know for sure the Texas A&M, I mean, Johnson he's a decent backup. But we know for sure that Connor Wegman makes Texas A&M better at the quarterback position, but we don't know if Notre Dame got better at the quarterback position. What? I got Eric Spadell with the super chat. Man, thank you, my brother, for the super chat. Forget all this mainstream media talk, Irish Nation. This is going to be the year we take our respect back. Go Irish. Eric, I'm with you, man. I just kept waiting for them to be balanced and have information to back up what they're saying. It's like, yo, you're talking emotional. You're talking SEC bias, and you really haven't watched the lick of Notre Dame football. And while you're trying to be disparaging about Notre Dame being ranked too high at 7, you sit at 20. Based upon what? A defensive line? Because that's all you have. That's all you have. Oh, and Connor Wegman, who hasn't proven it. Unproven quarterback and a defensive line. You want to talk about what would Notre Dame have done against your schedule last year? Really? Just no respect for Mike Denbrock. I don't know what he can really do with Riley Leonard. Ladies and gentlemen, what is he really going to do? What is there to do with Riley Leonard? He's not better than Sam Hartman. Notre Dame's offense, which broke records last year, did they get better? Then they thought they found the mushroom in Super Mario Brothers. They thought they found it. They thought they found it with this little piece of information right here. Listen to Olin Buchanan. Oh, I have it. I got the key to the game. If we do this, it's over. It's simple. Just listen.
That A&M is even better on defense this year than they were last year.
I believe that they are better on defense this year than they were last year. Yes, and I can give you multiple reasons why.
Yeah.
Now, the linebacker, I can't say they're better.
Right. They're not going to be.
They might be really good, though.
Yeah. So I was just looking up something today about Notre Dame, and their losses last year, the teams they lost to were
Louisville,
which was number 10 in the nation in rushing defense. They also lost to Ohio State, which was number 29 in the nation in rushing defense.
Okay.
And they lost to Clemson, which was number 24
in rushing
in
defense.
the nation last year in rushing defense.
What was A&M in rushing defense?
A&M was 14. And that all that tells me is that if they struggle to run, they become vulnerable. And we think A&M, which was 14th against the run last year, maybe it was somewhat deception because maybe
of the secondary.
people threw more.
Yeah.
But that Notre Dame team had 2 first-round draft choices. A first-round and a second-round draft choice at tackle that aren't there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So plus a 235-pound running back that was taking the draft.
Estimate, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's estimate his name.
Yeah. So anyway, just something to think about as the matchup. So if A&M can limit Notre Dame's running game.
It's that simple, huh? Yeah, of course it's that simple because you don't think Riley Leonard's better than Sam Hartman. You don't think Notre Dame has wide receivers. You question the offensive line. Just call Notre Dame trash. That's basically what you're saying. They're trash. That's basically what you're saying. You're too scared to just stand on it. So you're low-key trying to say, man, we think Notre Dame's trash. We think Texas A&M is going to come out and whip them. We think this defensive line is just going to dominate the game. They don't have anything that can threaten us. That's basically what you're saying. That's basically what you're saying. First of all, how do you cover the team and make a statement like people threw the ball more against us than they ran the ball? Left, would you like to know the 2023 stats of opponents' pass percentage per play against Texas A&M? Teams threw the ball 48.5% of the time against Texas, 49.5% of the time against Texas A&M.
Almost half.
Yes. They ran the ball 51.5% of the time. That means, based upon the numbers, teams actually ran the ball more than they threw the ball. But they just said teams threw the ball more than they ran the ball against Texas A&M. That's what they just said. That's what the Texas A&M Aggie Radio Network, the host, and the beat reporter just said. That teams threw the ball more against Texas A&M than they ran the ball. Here I pull up the stats, Left, and teams ran the ball by 2.5%. No, by 3%. They ran the ball more than they threw it against Texas A&M. Now, granted, runs per play, 3.3. Really good. Really good. 3.3 yards they gave up per rush. But they gave up 100 yards per game, 110 yards per game. Now, what they're sick at is their sack percentage, Left. Their sack percentage is absolutely dumb. Their sack percentage is number 2 in the nation at 11%. That means they sacked the quarterback 11% of the time that he dropped back to pass. That's dumb.
1 out of every 10 times.
Yeah, that's pretty dumb. So we know what they do. We know what they do. We know what their strength is. We know what it is. But I'm sorry, guys. Don't get out over your skis. Texas A&M isn't that. You can talk about Notre Dame's not great. Well, if Notre Dame's not great and you want to put them on tier 2, where's Texas A&M? If we're going to keep it a buck, where's Texas A&M? The disrespect is real. But I get it. You haven't really crunched the numbers. You really haven't dug in. So now you're just talking emotional. You're trying to keep the fans listening to the show. It's all good. It's all good. But at least you know Cal Field means nothing as far as intimidation for Notre Dame. Absolutely nothing. I'll give you that. But we'll see you August 31st, man. We'll see you. Lucky Lefty Podcast. When we come back, oh my Lord, the excitement around the wide receiver room at Notre Dame and the docu-series that's going to take college football by storm. What's up with that scheduling, though? Lucky Lefty Podcast. We spin it different.
What's up, family? The merch shop is finally here. Lucky Lefty Network merch shop. We got it all. From the shirts to the hoodies to the hats to the nitty gritties. Come here right now. Shop with us. Come get the swag because you know, if anything else, we spin it different. You see the gritty. You see how we get down. It's elite.
Lucky Lefty Podcast, Friday evening. Hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. We're brought to you by ONORA Whiskey, ONORAWhiskey.com, that premium American whiskey, ONORAWhiskey.com. And if you drink, by all means, make sure you do so
responsibly. I had it on mute. I had it on mute.
First hour, we talked about the practice on Thursday, the breaking news about Anthony Knapp, Sam Pendleton, redshirt freshman, starting at left tackle, not starting at left tackle, but going with the ones at left tackle and left guard, what that means, the Harry Hiestand effect still in effect, and also why it's a great sign. It's a great sign. It's a great sign for things to come at Notre Dame on that offensive line. Then we talked about the disrespect coming from the direction of Texas A&M, their beat reporters and their radio hosts. It's, oh, man. It's crazy. Lucky Lefty Podcast. Left, did you see what Chris Jones did? Chris Jones, ladies and gentlemen, if you remember the show we did on
Yes,
Monday.
Chris Jones, the one that paid for the chicken wings.
Paid for the chicken wing lady out of Illinois, man, who got sentenced to jail for 9 years, $1.5 million worth of chicken that she stole. And Chris Jones of the Kansas City Chiefs stepped up and said, yo, I'll pay for the wings, get her out of jail. And like I said, 9 years was very excessive. Very excessive. Very excessive. Very excessive. 9 years for some chicken. Come on, man. I understand they were bone-in chicken. You know, what was she gonna get 5 years if it was boneless? Just excessive, and it was foolish. And shout out.
Well, I think it had to be elaborate if it's 1.5 in chicken wings.
Oh, she definitely has been doing it for a while. Like, I don't mind her getting a jail sentence left, but 9 years is just ridiculous, bro.
I mean, what do you even give for something like that?
I mean, if I'm a judge,
what's
I
a
give the
reasonable
minimum.
thing for a thief like that?
I give the minimum if I'm a judge. I think it probably went to a certain level because of the amount.
That's what I'm saying. Now, you stole enough to be like, we might have to throw you in there for a couple of days, you know.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of how many ways you can get to $1 million in chicken wings.
Man, if she did it wholesale, she probably made half of what she spent. Well, she wasn't spending her money; she was spending someone else's money. So let's say she got 1.5 million. Let's say she made let's lowball it. Let's say she made $500,000 wholesale. I mean, the fact that, of course, he just got that fat contract. I think he's making 32 mil a year, AAV. Chris Jones with that new contract. So for him to step up and say, yo, I'll give $1.5 million that are free, kudos to him. Kudos to him. Lucky Lefty Podcast. I know you guys want to hear from Mike Brown, and you probably want to hear from him about wide receiver recruiting. Unfortunately, he didn't talk about that. He stepped up to the podium, spoke with the media, and said, yo, I'm loving my wide receiver room. And, yo, this is why I love them.
And learning the system, understanding what we're looking for from his position, and he's getting comfortable in there. He's doing better and better, and then just getting on the same page with Riley, since obviously Riley wasn't there in the spring, and so it's been good. It's been good to watch.
And then, how deep can you guys go right now?
I know I feel really good about. I mean, there's 8 or 9 guys that I would feel comfortable with, like being in the game. So just trying to find the right combinations, and who the kind of top 6 guys are. They're going to be the main guys in the rotation. But I think we're in a really good spot. It's a really, really competitive room. And guys are doing a really good job.
Yo, previous coach couldn't get Braylon James and Tobias Merriweather on the field.
Yeah.
Mike Brown said he has 8 to 9 guys he's comfortable with right now. 8 to 9 right now. Yep, I'm good with them. Ready to roll. They know the playbook. They know what they're doing. 8 to 9. Yep.
Well, hey, listen, if we can get 8 to 9, that'll be. But see, I don't like we say get that many, but then we go into our pressers and media and talk about how many rushing touchdowns we're gonna have this year. So it's an identity thing. Is somebody not telling the truth? Is somebody telling us one thing and showing us another? Because on the outside looking in, you're thinking this team's been to rev up, throwing the ball outside the hashes. But when you talk to the team, you think we're going to look just like Jared Parker 2.0.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of concerned and worried and wondering, okay, if we're selling so hard that we can run the football great at the QB position, what are we doing on the outside of football? What are we doing with the 7 or 8 or 9 receivers that can play for us right now?
Yeah. Lucky Podcast. He went on to talk about the traits in the wide receiver room that have him so excited about what they're able to do this season.
Competitiveness, man. I think this is a competitive group, and guys that it means a lot to, guys that play together, guys that are unselfish. And so, to me, that's what's most important, right? Yeah, there's, speed's great, right? Catching the ball, making plays, making guys miss and doing something with the ball in their hands after the play. But, and we got guys that can do all those different things. But the number one thing that gets me the most excited is their competitiveness and their unselfishness. And one guy makes a play, everybody else is happy for him.
8 to 9, competitiveness, different traits. Every wide receiver can do something different. Play multiple positions. With all of that being said, Lev, would you like to hear 2 or 3 guys really singled out?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think he spoke well of 2 or 3 guys that were asked about. But I do feel more comfortable with the coaching in a sense of, I just always thought it was BS when the playbook was used as a reason why Tobias Merriweather couldn't get on the field. It's cap. It's real easy. Either run a fly route, run a 9, or run a post.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, it's not that many routes that, that you're – that's a frustrating thing as a fan, because you rack your brain saying, what in the world could this man not be trusted with? I'm pretty sure a go route is a go route in any offense. And then it's even worse when the quarterback goes up there and says, yeah, me and him kill it at practice. We just tearing the defense up. Can't stop us. This man got every attribute you want at receiver.
Yeah.
And won't play. So, yeah, it was some things going on. However, I think that the flow of how the offense is in a much better spot. It's just about who's going to make these plays that steer the direction of the offense. Because in my opinion, it's a Jeremiah Love year. Jeremiah Love need to be making them plays that send us over the top, mixed with the receiver play and their running backs with Aeneas Williams, this, that, and the third. I'm finding it hard that the core of the offense is through one guy in Riley. That's all I've heard so far.
Yeah.
I haven't heard Riley in combination with somebody else making plays. It's always been, man, we can run the hell out that ball.
Yeah.
Ran 2 footballs, all the air completely out of 2 footballs yesterday. So, I'm just trying to understand when this benefit is coming in for everybody.
Yeah. That's Mike Brown, Lucky Lefty Podcast. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have to set this up. We are about to experience MALIK ZAIRE going down a rabbit hole that he has been digging all summer long. And I have no clue. I wish I had a moment to speak with Jaden Thomas before he made these comments. But Jaden Thomas was asked about the wide receiver room and his quarterback, Riley Leonard. And unfortunately, this is what he had to say because Left is about to go on one of his classic rants. Once again, Jaden Thomas on the wide receiver room and Riley Leonard.
This, we don't have just guys just going out there every play, but now I feel like we're at least 4 deep in each position, slot, outside guys, boundary guys. So it definitely helps us in the long run. We're staying healthy.
And then you played with several different quarterbacks and silent quarterbacks. What does Riley kind of do well?
He does a lot. First, he can deep ball, short ball, window, tough catches, and then, what he does with his feet, I don't think I've seen. Trying to think, not at Notre Dame, but probably in my life. He's fast. His GPS numbers ring 20 miles per hour, so it's kind of funny when you got a quarterback that's got running back level speed.
Okay, so I didn't get to check the full tape, but I did.
No, wait. I'll play it for you again. I'll play it for you again. See, I'll play it for you again. Then I'm going to follow it up because there was a B part to it. Okay.
Oh, see the B. Okay.
Yeah, it was a B part. Here's Jay Thomas, the wide receivers. Yeah, he fluffed it with the arm, but then he got real excited about.
Yeah, okay, because he lost over one and embellished on another.
Practice, we don't have just guys just going out there every play, but now I feel like we're at least 4 deep in each position, slot, outside guys, boundary guys. So it definitely helps us in the long run. We're staying healthy.
And then you played with several different quarterbacks and silent quarterbacks. What does Riley kind of do well?
He does a lot. First, he can deep ball, short ball, window, tough catches, and then, what he does with his feet, I don't think I've seen. Trying to think, not at Notre Dame, but probably in my life. He's fast. His GPS numbers ring 20 miles per hour, so it's kind of funny when you got a quarterback that's got running back level speed.
Okay, Left. Hold off, Left. Hold off. I got to play part B. Let me play part B. He doubled down on the legs of Riley Leonard, Jaden Thomas.
Sure, I would say Josh Allen, he's special with his, I don't want to say Lamar, but it's dang near like Lamar, just the speed he got with his feet. And then I'll say bigger body like Josh Allen, it's going to take more than one defender to bring him down if it's a design quarterback run or a quarterback sneak. So a lot of quarterback touchdowns in the red zone I see in the future.
Go ahead, Left. The floor is yours.
Oh, my gosh. First of all, I'm tired of this. Look, first of all, Lamar is the first generation quarterback. You just can't throw that Lamar Jackson thing around because, come on, I haven't seen one yet. Secondly, I did like how he at least touched on the fact that he got a long and a short ball. I don't know exactly what that means, and he didn't exactly go into a lot of depth either. However, he did go into a lot of depth about something else. And it sounded like, I'm like, are we having a blast from the past, a repeat of history of another quarterback that was very highlighted in the ability to run the football? But then I said, let me take a step back because there's no way. But then you knew what got me? The one thing I knew was like, oh, we're in trouble. It's when the brothers start saying Josh Allen.
Oh, I knew that. I knew you would pick that up. I knew you would pick up on the Josh Allen.
Anything of that category is gonna be a headache all year. And it's a headache on multiple fronts. A headache from the front of, oh, we got the answer, and a headache on the front of what's going on in the playoffs while we throwing 5 picks and 5 touchdowns in the same game. So the volatility, which goes to the numbers of his stats, the volatility, the up and down. Can we count on this guy, Riley? Because can they count on Josh Allen? I don't think so.
Left, look, he's repping this guy. I get it. Yeah, I agree with Al. Al Lucchino said it best, man. Look, talking Lamar is flavor, bro. You don't bring Lamar Jackson up. Look, Riley Leonard is not Lamar Jackson.
But wait a minute. What? But out of all the quarterbacks that can run, they go to the top.
He did say, I don't want to mention he's almost Lamar, but like don't
almost Lamar.
Just don't even mention.
They skip over Kyler Murray, Justin Fields. They go straight for the top. Like, come on.
Yeah,
if we got that, then okay, it is something special.
I don't even think he's Justin Fields level, to be honest. Running the football.
Because Justin Fields can run for real. He just not, don't get the credit like that, but he move around. Jalen Hurts even. Hell, y'all going straight for the man, Lamar. That's like saying, little one.
Yeah, I understand that one, love. And I don't think he's as big as Josh Allen physically. Just from the eye. Just seeing him in person. I don't think he's as big as Josh Allen. But I like JT sticking up for his guy. And I like the fact that
I absolutely love that JC sticking up for his guys, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Yeah. That's what it's about. And that builds that team chemistry. You talk about Steve's relationship with the team. It's Riley Leonard's relationship when receivers can talk about you like that is how you know you're in a good spot.
I told everyone from practice 1, I love seeing BMO and Jay Thomas purposely in every drill, rep, 1-on-1, 7-on-7, team line up like, yo, we're going at each other. This is the matchup. I think it sets the level of competitiveness for the entire camp, for the entire team. And I think it's going to make each one of them better. And we pray that Jaden Thomas can have a healthy season.
Yeah, he cut his hair, man.
He looks much leaner too. He definitely looked. Lauren Lando, Lando was doing some work with him, but he talked about that importance of the relationship and competitiveness between him and BMO in the practice field.
I mean, I love it when, I get to go against the best cornerback in the country. Not only him, but, best safeties in the country, best D-line in the country. That whole defense is, I would say, the best in the country. So, we love it. It's competitive, every day just, get better and better. And not only just, on the field, but also off the field. We talking in the locker room, like what coverage was that, what could I have done better? What are our weaknesses? What are our strengths? So, it's nice to get to go against a guy like BMO just to get better and better every day.
Yeah. I love it, man. I just want to see the young man stay on the field, stay healthy, and produce. And his leadership is needed in that wide receiver room. It's needed in that wide receiver room.
And that's the one thing you can always count on about a Notre Dame team is that you're going to have those receivers that are there senior year leading the group.
And I think this is Ted. Man, we just spent the last 40 minutes before we started talking about the wide receivers defending and sticking up for Riley Leonard. To say Riley Leonard's not Lamar Jackson and he's not Justin Fields when it comes to running the football, not hating. He's not. He's not. Just sit back and watch. You watch Justin Fields break Michael Vick's record on the NFL level. Do we really want to have that conversation? Do we really want to have that conversation? Come on, man. Hey, you're right. Somebody just brought up Jaden Daniels in the chat. What he did at LSU last year. Like, yo, he could have mentioned Jaden Daniels and I would have been cool with that. I would have been cool. I would have been like, okay, connection to Denbrock. What he just did with Jaden Daniels, I like it. Lamar Jackson, man. No. Sorry. Can't go. I can't go there. Left, I think I have what you want to hear, though. I think I might have what you want to hear, Left. Jordan Faison. Listen to what Jordan Faison said about Riley Leonard, Left. It's real short and to the point, but it might be what you want to hear about your quarterback.
That's right. That's right.
Zip that ball, put it in place. He put it right on you. I mean, our last night practice we had, I pretty much covered up, and he put the ball right there. I was able to catch it. This was good.
Oh, it was only 8 seconds. It was only 8 seconds.
And listen, that was short and sweet.
Short and sweet.
Nomination for one of the top lines of the camp right now.
Yeah, Jordan Faison already.
That's top line.
He's up for one of the lefties. Okay, let me write that down. Jordan,
because I like that he was intentional, direct, specific. He ain't beat around the bush. He ain't embellished, but it was sweet enough to where I can see it. Okay, that's a
yeah.
It's an attribute because it's like, okay, we talk about Kenny can layer the football. CJ got the good accuracy and precision, but to put the football right in the pocket or do the things that show you have touch, but also a long ball and a short ball, those are good traits. I kind of see why he won that Manning Academy, right? Like, had a nice varying and level of football, and hey, guys are noticing it in a semester and not a year. So that's good tells for what's going to happen in the year.
Absolutely. Lucky Lefty podcast. Jaden Greathouse, the number one, who I think is going to emerge this year. Hopefully. Man, he gets over 1,000 yards. Hopefully he can take the sting of Charlie Jones and the name of Charlie Jones hovering above the Notre Dame wide receiver room for the last couple of seasons. Jaden Greathouse talked about the camp, the wide receiver room, and everything with right now.
Yeah, I just think I'm a lot more confident football player with where I am now, a lot more confident in my route running, a lot more confident in my ball tracking abilities, a lot more confident in just my overall play. So I'm just trying to let that show on the field and just make sure that I'm doing my job, I'm knowing my assignment, and just playing fast from there.
There's a lot of talent in the room now. I guess what's just the dynamic like in the receiver room at this stage?
It's great. It's super competitive. We push each other every single day just to be the best versions of ourselves. We know the kind of talent that we have in our room, so we're just trying to go out there and put together complete practices, making sure that we're all doing our job. No MAs, make sure that our energy is there, make sure our effort's there, and really just trying to put together full practices so that way we can get ready for this upcoming season.
I like it. The acknowledgement of the depth in the room, the acknowledgement of the different types of receivers in the room, and his acknowledgement of the defense, making him better, giving him different coverages. He talked about that as well when he met with the media, which lets me know that he's a very Keenan Allen type cerebral receiver, not just a big physical receiver, but he's also very cerebral the way he approaches the position. I love hearing that. Absolutely love hearing that. Jamie Flowers, yes. I would love for Steve Angeli to transfer to Illinois. Absolutely. As we get ready to close and switch over to the docu-series, Chris Mitchell, who I think early in the season, you said when they got him in the portal left that more than likely he was going to be 1B. And I'll say this. I think Chris Mitchell talked about this, how the defensive backfield playing against them has really helped him. I think early on in camp, there was a physical transition that Chris Mitchell went through. The physicality and the difficulty of the camp. He was asked in the press conference, I'm not going to play the clip, but he was asked immediately about the difference between fall camp at FIU or down in Florida and then fall camp here and Notre Dame. And he was like, yo, this is much tougher. He was like, the only difference down there that was tough was it was hotter. He was like, but this is just physically a lot more than I've ever experienced. And I think it took him a little bit to adjust to that early in fall camp. And then once he made the adjustment, his speed started taking over. That's what I saw from the early practices to the later practices that we were able to see. His speed started to take over once he made the adjustment to the physicality. And I think we're going to see big things. And I think Jaden Greathouse is going to be that 1A, and Chris Mitchell is going to eventually be that 1B. And this is what he had to say about everything: camp, wide receiver room, and him getting better.
For off season, you know, working with Riley, it feels like we haven't missed a beat. You know, just coming in camp and just it feels like we're right after where we started. You know, in spring and summer, it just feels like a continuous growth. You know, so we're just getting better at that.
Chris, I want to talk about the ice down network. Ice down network right now. Not joking, but about the playing with guys like Bo Collins, Jacob Thomas. Man, what's it like being in that receiver room that much time?
You know, being with them is I learn something from them every day. You know, they're bigger guys, more physical guys. It challenges me to be more physical. You know, going against guys that are just as much as me, or if not more. So.
With that much talent in the wide receiver room, where do you feel like you fit into the mix?
I fit right in with them. You know, they're very talented. I look up to a lot of them. The younger guys, I look up to some of them as well too. I get my game from them too as well. So they're very talented. I'm so happy and blessed to be here with them, and just it feels great. You know, not being one or two of the only guys in a room that I feel like can make plays. Just being around many guys that can make plays, it feels very comfortable.
Man, whether it's Riley Leonard or Bo Collins or Chris Mitchell, these guys are really grateful to be at Notre Dame. Like, what was the situation where they were, man? They are just really grateful.
Because you know what happens when you're around a bunch of guys that are good, and it takes the pressure off of you, and you start recognizing things that wasn't the same at your other team, where you're getting doubled, and you're like, I'm getting one-on-ones, and because we have a team full of starters that can be starters other places. And when that happens, you get a league of guys that are looking around being like, oh, we can push each other because we're all pretty solid. That's the definition of Notre Dame. Everybody there is kind of pretty good already. It has a story. It has some sort of accomplishments. And guys that transfer in there got accomplishments that may not be the best accomplishments on the team they're going to, but they were the best accomplishments on the team they're coming from. So it does, like, you know, I know the feeling. 2015, I felt like that. I'm like, damn, we had the top preseason award watch list award winners preseason. We had Jalen Smith, Will Fuller. I was in one. CJ was in one. We had an O-line and all of it. I was like, okay, yeah, we practice against the best of the best. And when that happens, you know, you feel like the team chemistry and you are grateful. Because you know you're going to win. And if you know you're going to win before you go into the first game, it's going to be a good season to look forward to.
And the fact that he said that, it feels good not to be one of the only 2 or 3 guys that can make plays on the team. It's like, yo, coming into this situation, like my wide receiver coach said, I got 8 to 9 guys I feel comfortable with being able to make plays in games. And seeing that and being a part of that, I guess you're right, Left. I guess he should be grateful. You know, Riley Leonard, when he was talking about the offense, he was like, man, the running backs, he was like, man, I'm talking about the wide receivers, man. I haven't even gotten to the running backs. Oh, shucks, we got NFL running backs here. And it was almost like he was like, yo, this is incredible being here at Notre Dame. I love seeing that, man. I love seeing that appreciation, right? Love seeing that appreciation And I think it's going to bode well not only for Riley Leonard, but Bo Collins and Chris Mitchell as transfers. Lucky Lefty Podcast.
I'm super excited myself, man. I think it's the first time we're feeling good about every position group.
Yeah.
You know, we're not walking in with, well, what are we going to get? I feel like even though we may not have it proven just yet, we know what we're going to have coming into this season in terms of guys that we're looking forward to making plays. I believe Chris Mitchell, we talked about it before, when he got there. He's a 1B. Maybe not a receiver bona fide number one, but a 1B is pretty damn good. Then you got Jaden Greathouse, young, talented, seems to always be around the football, the personality of a receiver one, and you complement that with a Bo Collins. You complement that with the running backs out the backfield that can catch the football. You complement that with your tight ends. Eli Reardon is huge. And I know we didn't talk about him a lot, but man, he looks huge out there. So when you got all those things working, you really put yourself in a position of how do we just keep it going? Because I feel like it's already rolling. How do we keep it going? I think Marcus Reno understands that too. He sees that his fruits of his labor are about to come into fruition, and you look around and it's hard not to think that. It's hard not to think that.
So we end with this, and it's interesting that we came off of the disrespect coming from Texas A&M and Aggie land about the questions in the wide receiver room, and to have that countered by Mike Brown saying, I have 8 to 9 guys ready to go that can make plays. And to hear Chris Mitchell say, I'm so happy to be in a wide receiver room where I'm not the only guy that can make plays. We have we have multiple guys in this room that can make plays. Jaden Thomas say, it's not just me out there with 1 or 2 guys just constantly rotating in and out. You know, we have a room now where I'm getting rest, which helps me stay healthy. I read between the lines right there, bro. It almost sounded like, yo, I was overworked. That's why I couldn't stay healthy.
I was taking my 5 reps. Yeah.
Now
how the running backs used to feel.
Yeah.
We used to run the running backs into the ground and then use the new one when we had good ones the whole way through.
And so when you hear that, you feel really good about what Notre Dame has going on in the wide receiver room. And I don't know what the heck Texas A&M and everyone that covers them is thinking, but I would take this Notre Dame wide receiver room going up against that average defensive backfield, even if it's a little bit better than it was last year, which was putrid, over you and your questionable wide receiver room having to face off against possibly the best defensive backfield in all of college football. It's possible. That's what's walking in to Kyle Field August 31st. The best in the biz on the back end defensively. Lucky Lefty Podcast. Well, Left, we spoke it into existence. That's the way we feel. We said watching the digital side of Notre Dame football really needs to take a step forward and get better when it comes to promoting Notre Dame. We said that. Well, the Docu-series, Here Come the Irish, it's coming. First episode, episodes 1 and 2, will debut August the 29th. But then you have to wait. Ladies and gentlemen, how do you feel about this? I don't know. I think I know why they're doing it. But we have to wait for episode 3 and 4. A full 3.5 months until December the 5th for episodes 3 and 4. Now, that's ballsy. That's almost calling your shot. That's almost Notre Dame pretty much saying, oh, we're going to be in the playoff. The way we're programming this thing for episodes 3 and 4, December the 5th, episodes 5 and 6, December the 19th, episode 7, January the 16th, Notre Dame is calling their shot. This is like Notre Dame's Super Bowl shuffle. I don't know if you guys know, the Super Bowl shuffle from the 85 Bears was actually recorded in the middle of the regular season. Not at the end of the season. They recorded the video and song, the Super Bowl shuffle, in the middle of the season. I want to say it was like after week 6 of the season. They recorded the Super Bowl shuffle. Ballsy, but they finished the deal. Notre Dame, I don't know if this is their plan, but the vibe around the program has to be, oh yeah, we're going to the playoffs. Oh yeah, and we're going to set this up pretty much. But the bulk of this is going to be surrounded by us making the playoff, the first round, and then going through all the way to January. Ballsy, really ballsy the way they scheduled this out. Myself personally, I would have loved episodes 3 and 4 after the Texas A&M. See, after you play Texas A&M and Louisville, I need something. Oh, that's a revenge game, and that's a big SEC game on the road. And I have to wait until December 5th to see some video from that. And I'm sure they put up, like I said, they put up the videos from each game on the following, like Monday and Tuesday. I get it. But I would love it to be a part of the docu-series. So the scheduling, in my opinion, says a lot about the confidence around the program, in my opinion. It says a lot about the confidence, about where the program is headed and the expectations for the 2024 season, the way they have it set up. Once again, episodes 1 and 2 on Peacock, August the 29th, episodes 3 and 4, December the 5th, episodes 5 and 6, December the 19th, and then the final episode, episode 7, January the 16th on Peacock. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Could be epic. Absolutely could be epic. Lucky Lefty podcast. GTB question. I think NC, you had a question from MALIK about the weather. I'll pass it along to him. He had to step away. He's along with the kids tonight. Missus didn't do him any justice. Chris Ayers, thank you for pointing this out. Down in Marion County, Indianapolis, your probation officer, going back to the story for Chris Jones stepping up to pay the $1.5 million to get the 68-year-old school worker out that stole $1.5 million in chicken over the course of 3.5 years, sentenced to 9 years in jail. As a probation officer, he says priors are the number one aggravating factors that can land grand theft a 9-year sentence. Chris went on to say she was 68 years old, huge mitigating factor, and was her first offense. Just looked it up. No way she should ever get 9 years here in Marion County, Indianapolis. How can any judge give a 68-year-old woman 9 years? If that's the same thing, if that same thing happened here in Marion County, she would have gotten probation, cut and dry. Thank you for your expertise in that area, Chris Ayers, and thank you for tapping in as always. So it was a great show. We gave the practice report from Thursday. We talked about the offensive line. How big is it that Sam Pendleton and Anthony Knapp are taking snaps with the first group? What does it mean? How does it impact the veterans? And what is the long-term prognosis? Tough start against one of the best defensive lines down at Cal Field on August 31st. But hey, you don't jump it off, get thrown in the pool. Let's see if you can swim. Deep end, baby. Deep end. And that's what this Notre Dame offensive line is going to have to do August 31st against Texas A&M. So we talked about the practice report, talked about the continued trajectory of Kenny Minchey, CJ Carr, Jaden Thomas looking healthy, looking slim, making plays, constantly going back and forth with Ben Morrison in practice, making each other better. And then Bronte Johnson along with Leonard Moore, two young defensive backs in the freshman class that possibly are going to work their way on the field. I love hearing about that as well. Then we talked about the Texas A&M disrespect. Played 4 or 5 clips from TexAgs Radio with host David Nuno and Texas A&M and Houston Texans beat reporter Olin Buchanan, who's a veteran in the game. Salute to Mr. Buchanan. And we just disagreed with some of the things they said. And then we talked about the wide receiver room, the excitement from Mike Brown as the wide receiver coach. And then we heard from the wide receivers talking about Riley Leonard and some other things, man. Lucky Lefty Podcast. You already know we spin it different, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up. It helps us with the views. And then leave your comments and questions. We respond to all. We appreciate you. Instagram, follow us at Lucky Lefty Pod. You follow me at SD2Mics on X and Instagram, Malik Zaire, X, Malik Zaire 8. And you can follow me at Overtime Malik on Instagram. Patreon, patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, CFB Nation. You know how we do it. Left, I gave my thoughts on the docu-series. I didn't like the schedule. The first 2 episodes. The schedule, the second, third, and fourth episodes, we had to wait till December. What are your thoughts about the docu-series?
Well, it was amazing when we had it in 2015 because it gave a heightened sense of awareness to the team that you had to be on more than often, right? So you were locked in and focused on the bigger goal, the aesthetic of having the cameras around. You felt big time. You felt this is why you come to Notre Dame. It was a different type of expectation and the pressure for real competitors. And the TV show gives you that boost because you're like, this is putting out good content. This is you're getting the details, so you're already putting on a little bit more than you usually would, and it's at the right time. 2015 was a year we could have did it. In all honesty, so maybe that type of luck is hanging around a team like this year. And we have mad storylines too, by the way.
Thanks. I think it's a missed opportunity to not have an episode right after you play Texas A&M and Louisville, which is the big revenge game. But we'll see. I'm very interested in seeing how they play this out, how they film it. Like I said, I've seen the rigs on the field for the series during fall camp. Very exciting, and all of the behind the scenes stuff. From the teaser, my favorite moment from the teaser, bro, was Lou Holtz. They're just mad because they ain't Notre Dame. That's it. They ain't us. Plain and simple. They can be mad all they want to. They can talk about this, that, what we haven't won. Still, at the end of the day, they are who they are, and they're mad about it because they ain't us. They ain't us.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, hopefully we find out some good stuff that we won't get during the season in general. I think this is a good year to not miss on the little stuff that we can probably get in on. And just in general, I mean, Marcus Freeman is great for TV. And I think he's going to add a lot of excitement to that and change the perspective of Notre Dame even more, Make us look a little cooler, make us seem more attractive to recruits out there. Give them some hope that they can be TV stars. You never know where it can go after that.
What's your top 3 storylines, Left?
Of this year?
For the series. Like, what are the top 3 things you want to see?
Marcus Freeman featured. That's a good question. Marcus Freeman for sure. I would do a quarterback room one just because it's a lot of hot topic in there, or have a part of the show be the quarterbacks going through what they go through and then get to this whoever's the starter in the season and stuff. And then I will have one on the D line. I want to see the D-line have some personality, make some plays, have some people fall in love with the team. Brian Kelly era started to change when people fell in love with Irish chocolate. They're like, okay, this team has character, personalities are coming out, and they're good football players. So when stuff like that seems to happen, especially out of the D-line, and your D-line has some character and, they exciting to be around, that's when you start to get the chemistry and the identity of the team and what it's like on and off the field, right? So if we can have some excitement come out of that, because we don't know too much about the D-line as individuals or Al Washington. Last time I remember Al Washington was Marcus Freeman telling him to hurry up and get back to recruit. Other than that, and Justin Scott, what do we know about Al Washington? And that was when he first got here, when we was excited, he was like, all right, now, get back to recruiting. That was my last exciting moment about Al Washington was that moment right there.
Yeah.
To be honest. So it would be cool to see them capture what that room's like during the year. Because, one, we don't know who's going to be the solo star of that room. We don't know if we have a Fausti in there or a player that's going to be that guiding light. We know we have a bunch of good players, though. A bunch of them. That any game, either one of them can do something different, right? So I'm excited to follow that because it definitely fell off during the year last year. Jason Onye, Patello, Howard Cross. This line's going to be, D-line's going to be great. By week 8, we stopped talking about D-line. We start talking about sacks aren't important. They should just headline that before they go into the feature story of D-line. A flashback of Marcus Freeman saying sacks aren't important, and they intro the D-line feature with Al Washington being like, we need to pick up sack production. It's a great storyline. It's a great storyline. Because how do you, a top program in the country, saying sacks don't matter? Al Washington should be taking that personal. If sacks don't matter, what do you have a D-line for?
I would like to see, I definitely would like to see Sean Civiliano featured. He's the one freshman, big bear, that could give you that Irish chocolate feel.
That's right.
I want to see Big Bear.
Even though he's Canada. Canada.
But Canada, what? Like, wait a minute. My man just said he was Canada. Like Canada.
Yeah, he up there. So he probably come with a little different sauce. See, because they damn got us last time. They hit us with Devin Houston, and he over there dancing and Irish jigging and everything, but getting sacks. So maybe Civiliano got a little bit more to it.
My man said he's from Canada, a new country right here on Lucky Lefty Podcast. So other than Sean Civiliano, I think there's definitely going to be a lot of the quarterback room. Riley Leonard, like you said, Marcus Freeman is definitely going to be featured. Let me tell you, you know who else has a great personality? Like, man, I picked this up when I was at the senior day. Man, that cat Mike Denbrock is.
No, he's made for TV for sure.
Man, that cat Mike Denbrock can hold a room, my brother.
Absolutely.
Man, huge personality. Huge. Think he's going to be a great follow. Absolutely great follow on that. And then defensively, I think if they come up with a nickname for the defensive backfield as they dominate like we think they can dominate, I think that's going to be a dope storyline too. That defensive backfield. I think that's going to be absolutely fabulous. Watching them dominate. That entire defense, man. If they play as well as I think they can, yeah. The linebackers, definitely. It's a lot of swag in that linebacker room, bro. A lot of swag in that linebacker room that could play well in that docu-series. It's a lot of swag. Different types of swag. Jalen is like the boisterous swag. Man, Kaiser's just like, man, the veteran. Drake. Then you got KVA. the fast rising linebacker. Jaden, the Southern cat, probably has a little Southern, New Orleans twang to him. That linebacker room could be pretty entertaining. Then Cam Williams, he's already showing, what he's doing. Watch it, with the whole series that he has. He's probably going to be front and center as well. So once again, the docu-series, Here Come the Irish. First two episodes, August the 29th, pretty much documenting fall camp. 2 days before they open up on the road against Texas A&M, and then 3 and 4 won't be into December the 5th, and then December the 19th, and then January will be the final episode. I think this tells me that Notre Dame feels very confident. The way they've scheduled this, they feel extremely confident that they're going to the playoffs inside that building. Because the bulk of the episodes will be surrounded by prep
for the
playoffs.
Like one of the episodes is them introducing like the rules and the experience and getting into it, that whole thing. I think that's like a 2 episode towards the end of the year. But I do think the scheduling of how they release the videos are kind of crazy, but it's the same thing as Power. One day it's just not on, and the next couple months until it comes back home.
I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to it, Left. We have to get to the linebackers and the DBs, Left. Marcus Freeman meets with the media on Monday. Do you want to do a weekend show and close out with the DBs and linebackers?
That's right.
Okay. All right. We'll see tomorrow what we can do, because we're here for the people. Got to give the people what they want. Hope you enjoyed this show. We'll tap in tomorrow, see what time we can connect and give you another 2 hours. We'll talk Max Bullock, linebackers, defensive backs. Mike Mickens met with the media along with the defensive backs. And then we'll rock and roll as Marcus Freeman, Mike Denbrock, and Al Golden meet with the media on Monday. That's exactly what we'll talk about Monday night right here. Lucky Lefty Podcast. YouTube, subscribe, hit the thumbs up. Patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network. Apple Podcast, Spotify, CFB Nation. And then follow us, Lucky Lefty Pod, on X, Instagram. MALIK, ZAIRE, SHAUN, Davis, the ONORA boys. Have a great weekend. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. And for the rest of the evening and for the rest of your life, make sure you continue to do what? You gotta spin it different. We'll holler at you guys.